One morning you woke up, and the world was no longer as you remembered. Currencies, investments, even the daily habits of your life had been shattered in a few hours. Thailand's Western banks experienced a problem, but no one noticed it. Perhaps you were also part of that silent collapse, unknowingly trapped within a system. November 1996. The Thai government had pegged the baht to the dollar. People were still breathing easy. Banks were operating normally. Companies were making investments, and the stock market fluctuated slightly. But behind the scenes, a silent alarm bell was ringing. Thailand was heavily indebted, and foreign investors were putting money into an economy that did not appear secure in the long run. Then in July 1997, the crisis broke out. The Thai government announced that the baht could no longer be maintained against the dollar. Currency markets collapsed, and investors rushed to withdraw their money. Banks faced a liquidity crisis and could no longer pay their debts. When people woke up in the morning and tried to withdraw money from the bank, there was a problem. The vaults were empty. Small businesses went bankrupt one by one, some raising the white flag of insolvency. The crisis spread to Indonesia. The rupiah rapidly lost value, prices skyrocketed, and even basic daily necessities became luxuries. Airports, ports, and logistics chains were disrupted. People lost their money. Millions of families had to use their savings. Streets filled with protests and chaos, because the economy was not just a number, it was life itself. South Korea could not escape the crisis. Stocks fell to record lows, while small businesses quickly declared bankruptcy. Giants like Hyundai, Daewoo, and Samsung even downsized. Banks could not survive without government support. Workers lost their jobs. Pension funds were depleted. Young entrepreneurs saw the capital they had accumulated over years vanish overnight. Malaysia, Singapore, and the Philippines. Economies collapsing like dominoes. While governments watched helplessly, the IMF intervened, preparing trillion-dollar aid packages. But this was only a superficial help, because the crisis was not just economic, it was psychological and social as well. People realized how fragile the system was. No one understood that their savings were not safe. While the stock market bottomed out, companies downsized, and unemployment rose rapidly. People did not just lose their savings, they lost their dreams, their security, and everything they had hoped for the future. Children, youth, the elderly, everyone lived in uncertainty. Social stratification deepened. The wealthy, the government, and large banks survived the crisis, while the lower class was silently sacrificed. As in history, this collapse was simultaneously an international shock. Economies in Japan, Hong Kong, and Taiwan began to feel the effects. Global markets fluctuated. Investors were confused about which country to trust. Speculation and panic engulfed the economy like a hurricane. At that moment, people realized something. The economy was not just numbers, it was an unreliable system. The cause of the crisis was not a virus, but debt, speculation, and structural fragility. The system had long been mismanaged, and alarm signals were ignored, and now the consequences affected the entire region. But every crisis creates an opportunity. Some investors made the right moves during the panic. International banks, and certain companies emerged from the crisis stronger. Technology companies and export firms developed strategies to survive. Opportunities existed within the crisis, but they were hidden from the public, and so began the 1997 Asian financial crisis. Those who woke up rich one morning found themselves on the brink of bankruptcy. The next day, human nature did not change. Greed, fear, and uncertainty fueled the cycle. History showed the same lesson again. Those who are unprepared lose, and if the system is not controlled, a crisis is inevitable. Indonesia. The rupiah lost value overnight. People woke up to find market prices had soared. Basic food, fuel, medicine, everything became unattainable. Banks were strained and credit was unavailable. Small businesses closed one by one and unemployment rose rapidly. Millions of people suddenly lost control of their lives. Governments had no plan. Protests spread across the streets. People could think of nothing but the economy. Social security systems collapsed, and people struggled to live with debts. While young people could not find jobs, the elderly watched their savings vanish. People lived in fear of losing their homes overnight. Thailand. In Bangkok, the stock exchange collapsed. Investors withdrew their money in a panic. Exchange rates reached astronomical levels. This was not merely a financial crisis. It was chaos where trust was completely destroyed and people lost hope. Foreign investors immediately pulled out their money, and companies raised the white flag of bankruptcy. After this crisis, reforms began. The banking system was restructured, and risk management for foreign investments was developed. However, the public could not recover their losses. Millions of people were unemployed, homeless, and in debt. And one of history's most dramatic lessons emerged. If the economy is fragile, the economic bubble grows, and governments fail to take preventive measures. A crisis is inevitable. Human nature does not change. Greed, fear, and uncertainty fuel the system. The social and psychological effects of the collapse were felt for a long time. The education and health systems, as well as the general social order, were shaken. People had to rebuild trust from scratch. Governments enacted new laws to strengthen the financial system and prevent similar crises. You may wake up one morning thinking everything is normal, but the economy can change overnight. History has shown us this repeatedly. The 1997 Asian financial crisis was a painful lesson that destroyed not only money, but also trust, dreams, and lives. And now, crypto, digital investments, and new financial systems ask people this question. Have we learned from past mistakes, or will we experience the same pain again? One thing is certain, the unprepared always lose. If the system is not controlled, the crisis will repeat. Did millions of people survive because of IMF aid? No. Only a rescue operation for the system was launched. Trillions of dollars, packages, loans, interest cuts, but nothing changed for ordinary people. Homes were still unsold, unemployment rose, and food prices soared. While people tried to continue their daily lives, the economy remained fragile. Bangkok's skyscrapers in Thailand had become a symbol of the crisis. Stock prices hit rock bottom, and local investors had lost nearly all their savings. However, foreign investors had taken positions during the panic and emerged stronger from the crisis. This once again demonstrated the importance of financial literacy and preparedness. Post-crisis reforms were implemented. The banking sector was reshaped, risk management was improved, foreign reserves were increased, and the management of foreign investments was enhanced. Yet people were still in debt and insecure. Many families never returned to their pre-1997 standard of living. This crisis showed that it was not only money, but also trust, hope, and societal values that were lost. People had to rebuild trust after the crisis. Its lessons required reshaping economic policies and social awareness. Following the Asian crisis, the fragility of financial systems became a global warning. Companies managed their debts more carefully. Governments began implementing more proactive policies to balance the economy. The crisis highlighted the need to evaluate the economy not just in numbers, but in terms of people and society. A recurring truth exists. If the financial system is fragile and uncontrollable, a crisis is inevitable. Short-term solutions cannot provide long-term stability. The Asian financial crisis painfully taught the world this lesson. The effects of the crisis were not only economic, but also social and psychological. People had to cope with debt burdens, unemployment, and uncertainty. Psychological stress was felt for many years. Education and health systems were strained, and social unrest increased. And today, financial systems are digitizing again. Cryptocurrencies and new market movements are emerging. Those who fail to learn from past crises risk experiencing the same pain again. People and governments must now be more careful. Uncontrolled systems can trigger another crisis. The Asian financial crisis showed us this. The economy is not just a few numbers. People, societies, trust and hope are all part of the system. The unprepared lose. Risk management and foresight save lives. After the crisis, some companies grew stronger, some were buried in history. People recovered, but the marks were not erased. The 1997 Asian financial crisis went down in history as a loss not only of money, but of trust, life, and hope. You may wake up one morning thinking everything is normal, but the economy can change your life overnight. The crisis is a teacher where opportunity and disaster arrive simultaneously. Those who learn from the past win. Those who don't lose again. History has shown this repeatedly. Greed, fear, and uncertainty make financial systems fragile. Human nature does not change. The repeating cycle depends on whether lessons are learned from the past. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video. See you next time.